Welcome to the iNETrepreneur radio show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNETrepreneur Media Network from magazines, TV, and radio network, we're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show today. I'm glad you're here. I don't know, but if you're not in Arizona right now, you may not know that we are starting the heat of summer. And today when I was driving to pick up my kids from summer school, I was driving down the road. We have this highway called the 60, and my temperature gauge hit 118 degrees. I mean, not 108 degrees, not 88 degrees, 118 degrees. So, we are definitely in summer right now. And, and it really makes me think about, the guests that I have on the show here today. And I really want to kind of make a mention, sometimes we think about first responders and in the military and how they protect our country or they take care of us. Being a Marine myself, we even had days where we wouldn't go out into the field because of heat advisories. And when I'm driving through my neighborhoods and I'm driving through the roads, and I see landscapers working in this heat, or I see people providing pest control services, or I see other people doing home audits, maybe for energy. It makes me think about, how diligent, how professional, and how committed, service professionals are to their craft and their trade. And sometimes I think, we go through these hot summers here in Arizona, we may forget sometimes that they're out there. They're out there in the heat, they're out there in the rain and shine, they're providing services. In this past 18 months, there's been a lot of, change due to COVID. Not only, did they survive the summers with us and they're out there, getting through the heat and going from, probably location to location, there's a lot of things that have, changed this past 18 months. For a lot of us, we've seen airlines who haven't, boarded passengers. We've seen restaurants that haven't been able to serve customers. We've seen, schools who haven't been able to provide classroom for the students. And those of us with kids, we certainly know, what that looks like in our house. And so I'm really excited today to talk about with three stellar professionals who are a part of the iNETrepreneur network. And so we can get to know them, not just of what they do and how they do it, but who they are and why they do it. Because I think that is just as important to everything else that we're talking about today. And, to start us off, or actually before I start us off, I just want to remind everyone that, I want you to go to, our YouTube channel. We have YouTube channel, or youtube.com/iNETrepreneur radio. I know I get it all the time. How do you spell iNETrepreneur radio? Well, I always say the best thing to do is if you find it once, just bookmark it in your phone, your tablet, or on your desktop. Then all you have to do is get there, or once you subscribe to the channel, you also get a notification. Also, we have a Facebook page. You can like us there, comment, give some even questions through our comments, or give them some uplifting of you hearing something from Amy or John or Danjee today. Please do that as well. We have an open forum here. We, totally want the input, from each and every one of you. But you can like us at facebook.com, or even love us, facebook.com/iNETrepreneur network radio. So again, my name is Robert Jones. I'm the founder. I'm the owner. Just stay safe out there. Drink a lot of water. And let's welcome our first guest. My first guest is John of AZ Pest Solutions. John, how are you doing?
Oh, fabulous. How are you doing, Robert?
Hey, I'm doing fine. And I was really thinking, a lot about you guys today. And, I really have to say, we'll go back in your background again, but right now it's just like I do want to thank all that you do, John, and I'm saying this personally from my wife and myself. You've provided pest control services for us for some time now, and it's not that you just provide the service and you're always at us, let's say at a beck and call. I mean, you do it in some pretty extreme circumstances, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, Arizona summers aren't fun. Like I said, today was 117 degrees. But yeah, we definitely have to stay hydrated out there, make sure that we're safe, always have water available. All the guys that work for me always press each morning, drink a lot of water. If you feel lightheaded or anything like that, get in the truck, AC, it's very important. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think one of the first responsibilities for any owner, and you are the owner of Arizona Pest Solutions for over 25 years now, is the quality of care that you have for everyone who's employed by you. I think that matters as much as anything that you do, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, that's for one. Without technicians and without people working for me, we wouldn't have a business. So we got to definitely take care of the people that are out there, make sure they're safe, well hydrated, and know exactly what to do if they feel heat stroke or anything of that nature. And it's a real threat in Arizona. Anybody that lives here, 117 degrees. Not only are we outside in the sun, but we're in the attics.
Yeah.
Things like that. They're 180 degrees in there sometimes. So it's definitely important that they know exactly the protocol that they're supposed to be doing.
I mean, this time of year, you can take probably some, aluminum foil and put your eggs in there, and you'll come, out of there with, over hard or something, won't you?
Absolutely. It's brutal, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, well, we appreciate what you do, for us and all the other families that you take care of and businesses, So let's talk about this. You've been in the business for 25 years, but you actually had probably a life before, you were Arizona Pest, Solutions. Were you born and raised here in Arizona, or are you a transplant like I am?
I'm transplant. I'm from Tampa, Florida. My dad had a pest control business. I worked for my dad since I was 15 years old. Doing lawn spraying in Florida is big. And that's how I really got into the business. Was through my dad, generational pest controller as well. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, so because a lot of people they've actually go through career changes, but for you, this must be pretty much a part of your blood. It was like I always say, there's three things that create an entrepreneur. It's your nature, your nurture, and then your noodle. But it sounds like you had a little bit of nature and nurture right out the gate.
Absolutely. I can remember when my dad started the business in Florida. Back in that day, there wasn't internet and things of that nature where we could be creatively marketing. We'd go out there and knock doors and, just pound the streets. And I remember doing that when I was younger with my dad, just going out there and just networking, talking to people, as many people as we possibly could. And that's how that business started. Absolutely.
Well, and it's pretty cool. And one of the things I'll say about what I mean by cool is I wish it was cool, right? But one of the things I want to address is, sometimes, a parent will start a company, and, sometimes the kids may or may not want to go down that same path. But, what I think makes you different is not only did you go down that path, you also kind of wanted to create your own trail, so to speak. You could have stayed in Tampa, you could have been close by, but you actually decided to say, hey, I'm going to take, myself, and I'm going to go somewhere, and I'm going to make my own space and create my own world when it comes to your own company and pest control, didn't you?
Absolutely. I had a little push, though. Met a girl in Florida, and she was going to school for computer science, and she landed a job at Intel over here in Arizona. That's how I got out here. Once we come out here, now we have two beautiful kids. I love Arizona. The heat, I can deal with it, but it's hot in Florida too. The people here are great. I love Arizona now. I'm an Arizonian for sure.
Yeah. What are some, have you ever had any other jobs in your life, John? Or any training and certifications? What are some of the things that you've had to do, to become an expert such as you are?
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of classes. I went to the University of Florida. I got an etymology degree from then. From there, we just kind of take your CEUs, just like any other business. You got to keep on top of your trade as products change, as systems and processes change. You just got to stay on top of all the products and new techniques in pest control. We're always looking at different things, especially for Arizonians. Scorpions seems to be the main issue here for a lot of residential households, and we definitely got to stay on top of our products and application methods to make sure that we're giving the best total service we possibly can.
So constant training and being top of your craft and being, in business for 25 years, what are some of the things that you've had to change and, adapt over the years? They say, the weather's been changing, our climate's been changing, there's not as much moisture near. There's different things. Does that change the way that you've had to approach pest control over the years? Because for me, sometimes you think of pest control as pest control, and it's the same now as it was 25 years ago, and it'll be the same 25 years from now. But that's not so, is it?
No, not at all. Products evolve. I mean, back 25 years ago, or even 35 years ago, where Chlordane was a big product. That's taken off the market. Diazinon, Dursban's another product. So you always got to find that product that's going to work. And not only one product's good for all the bugs. You got to find out what you're treating. If it's ants, use a different product. If it's scorpions, a different product. So you definitely have to have the skill set as far as what products to use. And over the years, the bugs have gotten immune to a lot of the products. So we definitely have to change them to ensure that we're getting best protection for our customers.
Well, and the other things that we really need to think about here is I like to say we've gone from countrified to cityfied.
Right.
That actually really changes the evolution of how a pest control company has to look at their craft as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. From anything from how we talk to people now, from how we communicate. A lot of people don't have emails, don't have things that we have to adapt to and make sure that they're getting the service they need and the information they want as well.
Yeah.
And COVID didn't help a lot of instances either.
Yeah. Now going back to your dad for a little bit, and some of the knowledge that he probably imparted on you. I like to say, was he a dad or was he a mentor overall, or was he a little bit of both?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I learned a lot from my dad, being an entrepreneur myself, as far as I saw him struggle. I saw him be successful. I saw him never give up. Those are the main traits I got from my dad. Just be consistent, do what you say you're going to do, and do a good job doing it.
Yeah, one business coach told me once. He says, when it comes to clients, what you want to do is you get clients, don't mess it up, and get more clients. Get clients, don't mess it up, and get more clients, and that's really the secret sauce to growth.
Absolutely.
And and also scalability. They say it takes a lot more effort to go out and get a new client each and every time when if you happen to lose a client. So, continuity in clients is everything in your business, isn't it?
Absolutely. Customer service. I mean, each time we do the client, it's kind of like reselling ourselves each time we're out there doing the service. So we just got to have give the customer the confidence that we're doing the right thing, educate them as far as why we're doing it, how we're doing it, things of that nature. So yeah, it's definitely got to be up front. There's a lot of pest control companies out there. But we have to be on top of our game to ensure we keep our customers as well as get new customers.
And I think that's part of the hardest thing. And, when it comes to pest controls, and people don't necessarily always think about it, but so much of the time in your industry, many residential owners, they base their decision upon price. They don't base their decision upon professionalism, performance, and the knowledge of the person. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. That's why, we try to, when we talk to new customers or customers in general, it's value over cost, right? So if we can express the value of what we do, explain, diagnose exactly what we're doing, a lot of times they see the value over the cost. So that's usually not a problem as long as it's explained properly to them.
Yeah, and so let's talk about this last 18 months. Let's talk about, really, there's been a lot of change in everyone's industries due to technology over the last, 25, 30, even 40 years. But really, we've seen a change in the way that people have had to market and use technology in ways that we've never seen in recorded history, really. And I say that, to be spot on and Never before have we had to have such a historical change when it worldwide down to the local level as we've had this last years. And some of the ways that you've probably had to change are some of the procedures and policies that you've had, within Arizona Pest Solutions. What are some of the changes that you've had to kind of mandate through your own company, through your employees?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the mask mandate, when it was, we were definitely wearing masks. We just were very careful. We asked questions like we never did before. Are you feeling well? Things of that nature. It's hard to get, everyone was scared, including myself when it first came out. I didn't know what was going on with it. And a lot of people didn't. But it took some getting used to, just wear the mask. And it was business as usual for us because, regardless of COVID or not, people are going to have roaches, rodents. And these bugs can be harmful. I mean, it's definitely a safety issue. So we have to do our job. We had to go in there, kill the roaches, kill scorpions, prevent rodents, termites. That's all. Even COVID was there. They don't go away, and we didn't either. We just had to protect ourselves.
Well, and I'm sure some of the other things, you can change the, how you train your staff and how they approach and engage clients, but it probably goes, a little bit further than that. There's fear within your company. There's all this change, but, you're going to people's houses, you're having to engage, you're going in people's houses, you're going in people's attics. And I'm sure there was probably what I call, an EQ, emotional intelligence, quotient that you probably had to, work with your clients to kind of, also, mitigate, their fears when you're working with them.
Yes. Yeah. It's all communication. When they open the door, keep your distance, have your mask on, make them feel comfortable, let them know exactly what you're going to be doing. Ask little questions. Is anybody sick, not feeling well? Things like that. I mean, the number one, we had to protect the technicians as well as the customer itself. And then there has been issues where we couldn't do the inside. We'd have to come back when they're not COVID related, or they might have had a spoo with COVID. We'll come back and do it. But it was a mess for a little bit. There's no doubt about that. Just trying to communicate and do everything that we're trying to do is hard when you can't go in someone's house. So a lot of times we have to do exterior treatments, think about, outside the box, and try to do as much as we could on the outside until we could get inside that customer's house.
Yeah, and like I said, you do a great job, and I feel like all the professionals that you have that come to our house, I mean their quality, very respectful, and I think that's good. For some service providers, any service provider, what are like one or two things, that you really learned that has made your business what it is today? I mean, you talked about perseverance, you talked about never giving up. What maybe one or two other like pop rocks that you could give to an someone who wants to become an entrepreneur, let's say, what should they focus on?
Well, I think system and processes, when you start your business, you got to have those embedded in the structure of your business, whether it be financial process or, just regular service, pest control, what you expect. Have all your system and processes in play and really, be religious about it. I mean, you have to do what you got to do every day in order to make this business successful. And customer service, you have to be good at communicating with your customers and be informative so they know exactly what you're doing and they have a good relay of what you're doing out there. I think that's very important. Customer service and your system and processes as a business, I think, are a necessity.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that if you don't have a system, you can't work a process.
Right.
So I mean, they go hand in hand. So John, I have your information scrolling across the screen right now. Are there any other ways that people can find you in iNETrepreneur Network or Facebook, other places? Where do you guys live in social media?
Oh yeah, we're all over the place. Facebook, Yelp, Google. You go on our website, ArizonaPestSolutions.com. There's different other ones that I can't remember right now, but we're all. If you just Google us, we'll pop up everywhere.
All right. Well, that's what I like to hear. I'm just there's nothing better than being Googled, is there?
Right.
Well, John, I want to thank you, for being on the show today. These segments go by way too fast, don't they?
Oh yeah. Well, I appreciate it too, Robert and Sean, your wife. I appreciate what you do for us and how you support us. You guys have been great.
Yeah, I just want to keep seeing you around more and more because I say this about you, John. The more I see you, the more I like you, and that's a good
Well,
thing.
thank you, man. I appreciate it.
You bet. You bet. Take care.
Thank you.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
I just want to thank John Martin from Arizona Pest Solutions again for being on the show today. I really get a lot out of what he says, and he does help mentor a lot of entrepreneurs in the iNETrepreneur network. And so, John, thank you for that. I'm excited about our next guest today. This is our first time to meet. I told her, before the show started, I said, I had to create a whole, radio show for Amy so we could get to meet each other. How are you doing today, Amy?
Hi, Robert. I'm good, and I thank you for this opportunity. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I am a proud father of 4 kids strong, and then in ways I have 2 furry animals and a cat. So so there's a full house over there at times. So I appreciate that very much. And so, I hope you were listening to John and I in the previous segment, but so many of the things that we brought about and talked about, him and I it's the same with you. I know that you may not be a service professional in the sense that John is, but you do provide wonderful service for your clients, and you have a unique take on what you do, because the world that you live in, to me and many other people, is a very complicated and convoluted world, and that is of energy savings. And so I want to thank you that you help people kind of navigate through those processes. But same with John. I just wanted to let's talk about your background. Were you raised here? Were you born in Arizona? Or are you a transplant like he and I?
Okay. Yeah. So I was actually born in the Philippines, and my husband and I we have 8 kids. We have 8 children, and
Well, you're making me think like I should have had more then. I mean, I only have 4. You have 8. You doubled me. What am I thinking?
yeah. And okay. So well, we recently moved to Arizona last year, and we saw that there's plenty of sunlight here, and we were wondering why a lot of houses still do not have solar panels. um, I grew up with my father. As a child, my father would always say, service to mankind is the purpose of existence, the purpose of being. So actually, in 1980s, I co-wrote a book, and that is about producing natural food. Basically, it's to grow low-cost protein by growing nutritious natural food in aquaculture farms. Okay, that's a very far thing, but to do that, we utilize photosynthesis to grow natural food instead of using the pelletized artificial feed. So we really believe in going natural and harnessing the power of the sun. And before coming to Arizona, I was CEO of a construction, or a development, real estate development company. What we did was we wanted to put up solar panels in all the projects, because what we believe in. The problem that we encountered is the government was not very supportive, and the monopoly of the utility company prevented us from going into the grid. So we had extensive knowledge and research on the solar panels. And so that's the reason why when we came, it was something that was already part of our consciousness,
Yeah,
And indeed, yes,
yeah,
Robert.
well, and this is why I like to go in the background a little bit, because sometimes, I meet entrepreneurs all the time, business owners, influencers, that experts, people in authority. But, one of the reasons why I always ask about their background is their background is also a pre-indicator of why they do what they do now. Because sometimes if you were, let's say you ran a boutique, or a clothing store, and all of a sudden you got into solar power, that looks very, very different to me than you saying, hey, what we did was we wanted to have sustainable, like, let's say, food sources, or sustainable, you know um, what I'm taking away from this is that, you're conscious of the environment and how we as people are stewards of the environment already, right?
Yeah.
And then so part of your motivation in your company now, is kind of appealing to the same service that resides in you, that you're helping others, use the power of the sun. So, it's not just about saving money, it's about really, I could go as far as saying saving the planet, isn't it?
Yes, it's true because on a lot of people do not know this, but solar energy is the most abundant energy resource on Earth, and it's 174,000 terawatts worth of energy. And here is what's inspiring about that. That amount of energy is 10,000 times the world's total energy use. So if only we can harness that, then we will be able to use energy that does not pollute the one Mother Earth that we will ever have, right? And it costs less also than creating all the very long transmission lines before the energy reaches the house. So yeah, so wouldn't it be nice to see that more houses and practically um, every home has a solar panel on top of their roof? Statistics show us that there are 2 million houses in the United States that's already powered by the solar panels that have insulation with the system. But um, statistically also, we have 140 million houses. So while 2 million is inspiring and motivating, there's still so much work to be done. There
Right.
is
And
not, right?
well, we're talking solar energy, and what we're doing is we're talking about the ways that, the homeowners themselves, the families themselves, can be more solar independent, energy independent and not dependent. And you touched upon a few things a little bit earlier, and I think a lot of people, they hear solar energy and they hear its benefits, but you know there there are a lot of large corporations that, don't want to see solar energy really become, a part of our daily lives, in energy usage. And I'm sure it always leads back to profit, doesn't it? Is that the reason why that, we don't see more than 2 million homes with solar panels on their roofs?
I think one that is one big factor, and I think a bigger factor is the lack of education on the part of the homeowners. They have a lot of misunderstandings and misconceptions about solar panels, about installing solar system. Okay, so what we did when we came, actually, because of that curiosity, my husband and I went around and honestly, we knocked on doors on people or houses that have solar panels on the roof. And we had to ask them their experiences, the pros and the cons, and everybody is happy about it. And the very, very few complaints were just about one, the pigeons nesting under the panels, okay? And then being, some roofs had damages. So having known the problems, we believe that as entrepreneurs, we have to be problem solvers. So every entrepreneur must have that kind of mindset. So we ask around and research on what the problems are. Okay, so but everybody's happy with their solar panels, and then we ask some people, who have no panels, and ask them why. And we found out that the only thing that's preventing them is really not knowing what it truly is. Like many have this thought that it costs a lot of money. They need money, upfront cost, and some of them are afraid of the lien on the house. So they because we got used to thinking like there's a quotation that says, if it sounds too good to be true, it must be. And
Well,
right?
yeah, no, and I think that's a big worry for a lot of people because, solar companies, solar panel installation companies, are not all built equally either. And I think for a lot of people there was also a lot of misinformation put out there by solar companies as well, and sometimes especially in a new industry, it takes one or two bad apples and it pushes back the conventional wisdom that everyone thinks about solar. And I think some 10 years ago, even up to 5 years ago, there was so much disinformation, there was so much cutthroat, and there wasn't a unity among the solar panel installation companies that a homeowner what could they what would they think? They would think that this isn't a place that they wouldn't want to exist because hey, there was all this back channel and there's all this misinformation, and does the solar, like you said, does the lien convey, and can I sell my house, or am I stuck with it, or I'm paying someone else's, or they charge too high, or they didn't do the audit right, or and so I think that that's where sometimes, especially in new industries, when it's so new, you don't have any perspective on how to analyze it as a homeowner to say, this is something that I want for me, because it does look too expensive and it does look like another mortgage payment. And, and there's so many things in it, but, which this is where I want, our members and our audience that watch the show, this is where, that magic light bulb came to you and said, what, you can provide a service to help people like us who are like going bonkers on, do I want to have solar panels on my home, right?
Yes. Okay. So you mentioned a lot about every solar company is different, and that is true. So I think it may sound cliche, but we truly care for our customers, and we give them the same recommendation if they that we would give to our own children, our family, if they had the same situation. Every family has a different situation, their lifestyle, their utilization, their home orientation, their roof orientation, all of those play a part, and we have to analyze them. So we don't recommend oversized system. We value earning the trust and respect of our clients. Most companies talk about treating customers with respect, right? That should be a given. But whether it's prospects, customers, colleagues, employees, all deserve respect. But earning them mean a lot to us. it's easier to lose the respect of people who know us best, like our children, right? As a parent of A, we model what we tell them. And so one example I would say is when parents tell their children to be honest, and then the kids will overhear them lying to others, like, why not tell Joe that I'm not here today? So, it's a simple thing, but integrity starts with little things. So I think, who we are as people, and what we believe in, and what our values are, you know, it,
Well,
it reflects in our business, right?
right, and like, a lot of what you do to earn that is you work. I always say, if everyone works hard, just work a little harder. If everyone is clear, just have even a little bit more clarity. Just do those little things that separate, good, to great, or great to, outstanding. But the thing is your company and your mission is also kind of like an investigative reporter. You want to get down in there and you want to look at the local community, because cities are different, counties are different, HOAs are different. And, in all those areas, you have to qualify certain things, or maybe there's grants, or maybe there's, certain type of loans, or maybe there's, government money, maybe there's, lots of different factors that you help your clients get. So it's the best for their pocketbook two ways. One, they're getting to harness the energy of the sun, but they're also getting the best priced investment for the actual installation and the material cost of the solar panel installation, right?
Yeah. One of the biggest thing I think that people get out of having this system is really the predictability. Like, most people like you, when you bought your house and you got a mortgage, what did you choose? Was it the variable rate, or, you got a fixed rate? Most people would really go for the fixed rate, right? Because they want predictability. They don't want the stress. So that's the same thing with the utility bills. So what we do is, by putting a solar panel, you have predictability for the next 25 years, 20 years, and then if, another thing that people think is that it's an additional cost. It's unlike when you buy a car. When you buy a car, that's an additional mortgage that you don't usually pay, in the household expenses. But this one, you're already paying for the utility bill, the power bill, and whatever you will pay for the panels will come from the savings that you will get from the monthly electricity bill. So there are a lot of things that people just need to understand, that it is not an additional cost at all. In fact, it is going to save them money, and they will have stress-free predictability.
Well, anything that can be stress-free sounds really good to me. Now, I have your information, Amy, scrolling across the screen right now. These are a couple of ways that people can get a hold of you. What are some other ways that your potential clients can get a hold of you as well?
Yeah, they can actually Google us. It's easy. They can also set meetings through our website. Robert, can I just highlight one thing also? We are the only one, that provides the one-of-a-kind 25-year production guarantee, and that is the real value. Because people install solar panels thinking that they are buying the panels, but the real value is in the amount of production that the system generates. So while other companies give manufacturers 25-year warranty, we elevate that. Your show talks about uh, leveling up of the expectation of the customers, right? And I think we do that by providing a 25-year production guarantee, which means that If the contractual production guarantee is not met, the customer expects to get a check for the amount of power that was not generated by the system. And I think, more than the panels itself, this is the real value. This is where the real value is. And that is one of the things that we have out there to solve the unpredictability,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
gain the trust.
Well, like I was telling with John, and that's a great unique selling proposition that other companies don't have. And like I said, I think it's just the wraparound service of care. I think that that's what really matters as well. A lot of times you don't feel that from really not always, but from larger companies. And I know that they will get that care with you. But leveling up. Another thing. In your own company, we have gone through this 18 months. The same question I posed to you that I did John. What is something that you've learned from in the last 18 months because of COVID that you changed to really level up your business, that you never knew or never did before? What was the pivot point for your company?
Um, it's first of all, it's really knowing that anything can happen anytime, and we really need to be ready. The readiness has to be there. And then, of course, more meetings are being done through Zoom. And how do you build relationship even with employees virtually? And making sure that people feel and know that you care despite it's virtual. So number one thing, I think the most important thing is really protecting the customers and the employees. Fortunately for solar installation, the crew does not even have to go inside the house. They can just come and go without even having any interaction with the homeowners at all. And so and I think there are some industries that, yes, everybody has been affected, but it's a wake-up call to have the right attitude, the right mindset, that in every problem, in every bad situation, there is always a light, behind.
There's always a solution.
Yes.
There is. And
Yes.
I loved how you brought that in the show. Well, Amy, I love that you were able to come on to the show today, and I want to thank you so much for it. You've been a delight to talk with. You don't just have the mindset, you have the heart set, for what you do. And I see that you're very, very passionate about what you do and how you do it. And I just want to say thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great day.
Absolutely. You too.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
Well, again, I want to thank Amy Sy for being on the show today. And I really want to highlight, a couple of things, especially for entrepreneurs who are just beginning their journey, into becoming a small business. But, we've talked about a couple of things, the importance and reliance on systems and processes. But we also, I love that Amy brought up the mindset, having the right attitude. And I think that goes a long way in our current environment. The number one word over the last few months that entrepreneurs are actually searching for is just having fun, getting past challenges, and when they learn, they want to have fun. When they work with others, they just want to have fun. We're living in a world where, everyone's waking back up, and, we're kind of coming into this new normal, because, where we were, and then we went through COVID, and now we're kind of coming out of COVID, and, things are changed, and now we're having to pivot and change again. And, I'm really excited to have my next guest on right now. And, Danjee Moser, how are you doing, sir?
I am good. How are you, Robert?
Hey, I am doing fine. I am, I just had a little bit of a thank you to Amy and also John just previously, and I liked that they kind of brought out a couple of different angles when it comes to being an entrepreneur, because I always feel like your background that you have was sets up your foreground of who you are, and it's really and I see that with Amy, because you just don't get that feeling that, hey, I'm just doing this for a dollar or a buck. I'm doing this because I live to do this, because I live for my service to do it. And I think that that's what people are really looking for. They're not looking for a sale. They're looking for a relationship, and I think both John and Amy brought this on the show. Which comes to you. My last segment on the show. I'm really excited, and I'm pretty sure that you guys feel the same way, and in the same manner. What I'd like to do is go backwards a little bit too, and
Okay.
I'm sure there was a Danjee Moser before there was a Gateway Restoration, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. Yep. So, I was raised in Montana. I was raised on a ranch and a farm, and where a handshake meant something, and integrity was everything that a person had to be able to build their world on, and their family and their reputation. And so that got ingrained to me very deeply by my grandparents and my parents, and that's kind of where I came from, man. It's a farming community of hard work and dedication and focus on good commitments and good connection with good people. That's what brought them through a lot of difficult times.
And I always say that there's like three types of education. You have formal education, informal education, and you have that third school of thought called the School of Hard Knocks, right?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah, I'm really good at that school. I got straight A's.
My dad always used to tell me, he's like, you don't have to feel every knock yourself, son. There's enough people that have done those knocks for you already.
That's very true.
But I think that I think it's always good to have a measure of pain, because when you hit success, and you create that happiness, it just tastes a little bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Especially. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so growing up in Montana, and you probably had maybe a mentor or someone who kind of you modeled yourself after. Tell us a little bit about who you may have modeled yourself after to kind of help bring you to who you are now.
Oh man, there's so many. My father was absolutely one that taught me character, deep character. Small towns, people base who you are and how really cool you are on how well you are at good you are at athletics, right? So I had some stellar coaches that put a lot of time into my success in different sports, and I learned a lot of perseverance and tenacity through them, pushing me past my challenges and things that come around that difficulties or certain circumstances. So that's what I have to say.
And I'm glad you brought up coaching. In business, believe me, I hear all about coaching in business, but there is something to say about coaching in athletics. And many times when you're being coached in athletics, a lot of the things that you do are just laser edged. There's I would say tenth of seconds, hundredth of seconds between sometimes first and second, right? And when you're running down the track, because I ran track myself. I ran track. I played football. I wish I had organized soccer. That would have been another sport I played. But when it comes to that world, a great coach is everything, and a bad coach is the worst of everything. It's just there's two sides, right? And when you get a great coach, one thing I've always found, the greatest coaches don't teach you just about your sport. They teach you about life, don't they?
They do. I've coached actually for 8 years. I coached high school basketball and I coached football. And there was a time when I took one of my little football players and pulled him in with his face mask, and I realized right then that what I was building was a man for the future. And it really hit me strong and hard in my first year of coaching, and realized that he's at a vulnerable state where a parent may not be able to discuss and teach him what he needs to be taught, but coaches have that opportunity to help them with something they really want to become. and they believe in the kid, and they have this open window to really make people's life different. And I think good coaches recognize that. So just like you said.
Well, and the thing about coaching sometimes is, there's a lot of emotion in sports, and in many ways we tend to kind of take out emotions in business, but for a lot of the things that we do, and your business is no your business, restoration, is no exception. When you're working with people, you're quite frankly working with a heck of a lot of emotions, because you're really going in there to take something where a person is really at that deep pain, or at the bottom of certain things, and you're coming in there and you call it restoration for a reason, and that's because you're attempting to not just restore the physical of it, but you also have to kind of come in there and probably restore the emotional of it, don't you?
That's absolutely true. In fact, I tell our team all the time, I say, we're not restoring property, we're restoring lives for people who have experienced property damage, because property is where people find their that's their stable place. And during this COVID time and all the other stuff that has gone on, it's really it's security, it's the lack of stability in people's lives. And so then when they experience a bad flood or a fire or other damage, then that's just more of their security and stability that's gone. And man, when that happens, it's very difficult. And we have to recognize, for us, the big thing is being able to go in and help people, not take advantage, because there's a little open window, right, where people can take and completely destroy a person when they're in an emotional state, or they can actually build back and bring value to their life and some stability and something they can trust and hang on to. And that's the goal of Gateway Restoration, is to just be that person.
Yeah, and Amy brought that up as well, and she talked about stability, and John, in a certain manner, he talked about consistency, perseverance, and those to me are the true traits of an entrepreneur. It's doing the things where other people are unable or unwilling to do themselves. And, it's like, getting on the show, sometimes the voice chatter says, hey, I don't want to get on that radio show, or writing an article for a magazine, or, going to that next appointment, or finishing out, maybe a contract, or, there are so many things that an entrepreneur does to be successful, but those very same things, can also be their detriment, because that decision says, hey, I'm going to go on a show, or I'm going to write an article, or I'm going to show up at a chapter meeting, or I'm going to, but that same choice right then and there says, I'm not going to. And I think that really, is the difference between, and you've learned that in athletics, Danjee, it goes, are you going to run that next 400 meters in 50 seconds? Are you going to be, are you going to do that next gasser? Are you going to pump those weights? I think that's where, coaching comes along, both for the mental and the physical. Because I always say, if you don't have your health, you certainly don't have wealth. And, and I know this all the time. When you work, with your clients, the first thing you probably have to do, more so than anyone else, is you need to establish a bond with them not at the price level, but at the emotional level. And I think so many of the times entrepreneurs don't understand that the value proposition of whatever they do from a functional standpoint is not what they do, right? It's the emotional connection of who they are to that other person, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I mean, it's how to build trust, right? By finding what the person really wants and needs. And one of the things that we talk about all the time is what sets us apart, what makes us different, and it's exceeding expectation, right? The expectation and the value line are a level tightrope. And when you fall below that expectation and value line, you become less valuable. And when you exceed that value line, you now have become something that's valuable to that person. You've brought value to their life. You're now living in a surplus as opposed to a negative balance with your connection with that person. But the first and most important is figuring out what their expectations are, and then being able to not only meet those expectations but exceed them through the details of what you do for them. It's a follow through.
Yeah. And here are the other things when we talk about, and this is where sometimes I wish I had a longer show, because I dive into this with John and Amy, but here's the thing. So much of the time when we talk about raising expectations, especially Amy, and I have to say it, and I was kind of bringing her out there a little bit, but so much of the time is you're not just raising expectations for your company and your employees and the people that you work with. Sometimes you kind of wear the backpack of raising the expectations of an industry.
That's exactly right.
And the companies that look at their role is like, hey, there's enough abundance for all of us. I love competition. It keeps me sharp. It makes me grow. I'm not this big mega company that has one call center and you got to wait 45-minute lines, minutes to get someone to help you. In the businesses that you guys are, that competition makes you sharp. It makes you aware, and it makes you hungry. And I think that for an entrepreneur, if they want to get in business, they need to go into it, thinking to themselves, how hungry am I? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. We look at things a little bit differently. I do think that, competition is a reality. It's always there, right? And if you're not going to take care of people, then somebody else will try or do it. We look at the fact that we don't really believe that we're part of the rest of the restoration industry, because if we're going to be different, we have to be completely different. And we look at that in the industry, and obviously it's there. It's not, can't avoid it, but it's a matter of recognizing what you need to do all the time and always addressing issues and taking care of problems within your own company. And we will be those people that do change the expectation of the industry, because the industry, if you keep following everybody else, you're just going to get where everybody else goes. But if you do something different, and that's when you change the expectation. I think your title of this show was kind of intriguing, because expectations you think are just all of a sudden there, but really people that exceed expectation then create a new expectation for the rest of the industry, and the people and the customers who have been served by that greater have been served by that greater value now expect more value, which then makes the industry better, and it actually brings more value back to more people. So.
And I think, the key word there goes again and again and again. I was a programmer, I was a coder, I lived in that industry for a long, long time. And there is no amount of code that I can create. There's no amount of programming that I can produce that can ever take away, the two people that matter most, the person who provides the service and the duty they have to the person who utilizes that service. And sometimes I think, we rely so heavily on technology, and I love processes and I love systems and I love drip campaigns and I love being found on Google. But at the end of the day, raising expectations really is about raising the bar of the relationships that you create with those who rely on you. Isn't that correct?
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Yes. And doing it's all integrity, right? If you say you're going to raise the bar, then you got to raise the bar. If you're going to do more than what was expected, then you've got to do more than was expected. They've got to come out of that. And that's all integrity.
So in the last year, now I'm going to go backtrack and I'm going to be contrary to myself, right? But this last year, like John was talking about, and Amy, technology had to kind of change along with us changing. And has technology also changed in your industry and in your company over the last 18 months?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Obviously on the sales side of the world, when you're trying to talk with people, we've had to deal with a lot more of the Zoom and virtual stuff, which I'm kind of anti that stuff, but I'm actually enjoying it. Obviously, I'm sitting here on one right now. So,
you're like a Zoom star, man. Look at you.
Thank you. But the adjusters in our industry, we deal with adjusters, right? And there's many adjusters and companies that did not feel comfortable going to homes. So we actually implemented at Matterport, which is a 3D scanning system that actually it scans every single detail of a home. It can measure it all out. It can give the adjusters the ability to virtually walk through the home and be able to see everything they need to, so that the homeowner doesn't have more traffic. The adjuster doesn't actually have to come into the home. It reduced a lot of that necessity, and that actually was one of the biggest things that we jumped onto and pushed really hard for, and it's been very, very effective. And just learning how to take care of people and be conscious of it. We also do COVID cleaning. So during the COVID crisis, we were actually able to, because we do hazardous waste and bio and all that, we actually were was an easy step to become certified to do COVID cleaning and take care of a lot of older folks' homes and things like that. So.
Yeah, and in your service are are very needed for a lot of I call them like mission critical type of environments. Certainly healthcare environments, and offices, et cetera, and even schools probably, all very much needed. And people who age in place and are in assisted living homes, those places need a lot of help and a lot of care because we definitely change as we age. And as I did with the other ones, what would be one or two things that you would impart? What would be a pop rock that you would give to entrepreneurs that just are like, they're just starting out, they just want to break into the field? What's maybe one or two pop rocks that you would like to give them to say, hey, you can do this, and here's something that I learned. So, there we go, and we're going to help them with their school of hard knocks right now.
Well, you're not going to avoid all the knocks, but if first thing is learn from other people. The greatest blessing that I found is learning from other people. Learn through their experiences, do that. Then you have to set your goals that you can believe in. Set your goals, know where you want to go. What does success really look like to you? One time I was driving with my wife, and a friend of mine who's been very successful drove by, and I reached over to her and I says, man, I wish I had what that guy has, right? And she said to me, she says, would you really find that as success? And I went home and I sat down and I made out, what does true success look like to me? And what's going to bring me a feeling of success in my life? Because regardless of money, regardless of everything else, what does success really look like? And if you shoot towards that and just never quit. And then I think the number one thing is that once you make that first step, don't stop believing. That's the number one thing. You're going to have to learn a lot of systems and processes. John had some really important things that he said there. But belief, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, the number one thing is stop comparing yourself and feeling like you're not good enough, and just shoot for what you want to become, and don't give up, and you'll end up the best place you possibly could be, and live up to what you believe you can, and keep believing. That's my thing.
And I like it. It's just, keep believing and enjoy the journey. When I was asked once, how did you run a marathon? And I said, it all started by, putting on my shoes one at a time. And really, I mean, it just starts with that. It just starts, even before that, it starts with a crawl, right?
It does. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Danjee, thank you for being on the show today. I have your information scrolling across the screen right now. Are there other ways that we can find you in the digital or in the in-person world right now?
You bet. Yeah, we're all over LinkedIn. We're all over Facebook, Instagram. Anywhere like that. I mean, most of the time, if you call your insurance agent, they're probably going to tell you to call us. At least the small ones will say, right? I'm just kidding. No. Google, we're all over Google, and yeah, you can Google us anywhere and find us on your phone or your desktop. So.
Well, I want to thank you again for being on the show right now. Stay for a couple of minutes afterwards, just for a quick tie-up. But I appreciate you being on.
Completely my pleasure. Thank you, Robert. You did great.
Thank you. All right, we had 3 rock star service professionals on our show today: Danjee Moser, Amy Sy, and also John Martin. Each one of them imparted some, pop rocks for emerging entrepreneurs. Each one of them told us a little bit about their secret sauce on how they're raising their expectations for those that they serve. I want to remind everyone, we are here each Thursday from 2:30 to 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, which is the same time as Arizona. Keep plugging away, keep doing the right thing. The journey is yours. Be the rock star that you truly want to be. And I want to thank everyone that's here with us today. I'm Robert Jones. I'm the owner of the iNETrepreneur Network. You have things to do and places to go, but you spent it with us. And I want to thank you for that.
You've been watching the iNETrepreneur Show, a production of the iNETrepreneur Radio Network, with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.